Olá, boa noite a todos. É com uma grande satisfação e alegria que eu abro esta sessão internacional. A partir desse momento, eu vou começar a falar inglês com vocês. Temos a ilustre presença da pesquisadora Viviane Carril, uma grande amiga, companheira e pesquisadora, assim como da Kusha Sugman, que é a nossa pesquisadora também. Ela está falando dos Estados Unidos, então, a partir desse momento, nós vamos conversar em inglês. Depois, vocês vão ter a oportunidade de fazer perguntas em português, obviamente, claro, aventurar pode fazer em inglês. E quem fizer em português, a gente depois vai trazer para a língua inglesa para poder a gente, então, articular essas perguntas e oferecer reflexões. Tudo bem? Então, good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. We have this evening Viviane Carrillo, a great friend, researcher, partner, as well as Kusha Shugman, who's now a researcher. She's speaking from the US. She has recently finished her PhD from CUNY, City University of New York, and has recently started a job at Mount Oakley College as a professor of education. We are very proud of her to get this job. She had to change her whole life, yes, to go to this beautiful place from what we have seen from the pictures. And Vivi is also now, she has already finished her PhD at Pontifical University of Sao Paulo. And now she's finishing, or she has already finished, as far as I know, her postdoctoral degree, also at PUC São Paulo. Well, we have a very interesting perspective this evening to talk about water, education, and play. Yeah, this is what we're going to bring about as a teasing, yes, issue, so as to foster reflections. So can you, Danilo, Vivi, can you start so as to start our, where we are going to start from and where we plan to get at?
Yeah. Thank you, Francisco, for having me here. I'm so happy to be here with you both, my friends. So, we are here to talk about the water in education and how play can be a tool for us to address this issue. So we want to think with you about the water scarcity, pollution, and climate collapse are reshaping life, and the ocean as a metaphor and matter of planetary interdependence. So we are not talking about the ocean like the ocean in the nature, but the ocean as a metaphor of many possibilities, how we can work with that in the school and the university and our communities. So we need for effective, creative, and embodied education responses. Right, guys?
And can
as
you
kind
please,
of a layout.
Kusha?
As a layout. First of all, Francisco, thank you so much for having me. It's always so fun to see you both and to hear some Portuguese. So
are you still learning, yes?
I'm still learning. I'm gonna get there. I heard so.
By the way, folks, just a spoiler, Kusha will be here with us, yes, at the beginning of 2026, very likely to be in March. So you'll be having more information about Kusha's coming to Brazil. So we're going to use her quite a lot at our university studies. Okay, sorry.
No, thank you. So thank you for having me. Just as kind of a landscape of what we're going to be doing. First, we're going to start with more theoretical framework, where these larger ideas, Vygotsky, where they come from and why they're important to this work. And then we're going to speak more about specific examples in our work with children and with adults.
So let's go.
So let's go.
Can you, Vivi, show us the exactly?
Yeah, well. Oh, here, yes. Oh, just now
So
it starts.
what do we? Okay, awesome, absolutely awesome. So, guys, where do we start from? We'd like to propose, yes, play from, as Kusha has just pointed out, from Vygotsky's perspective, as a pedagogical and political act in facing environmental crisis. Once water is the main theme of this Congress. So we're going to be grounded in Vygotsky, particularly from the cultural historical theory and what we call here eco-pedagogical perspective, as Vivi has just also pointed out. And in a shell, we'd like, considering these two aspects, yes, to reimagine education as an ocean, as in terms of loads of possibilities for planetary change. So this is what we plan to talk about and somehow foster ideas to change, to promote educational practices. So from the theoretical and philosophical perspective, yes, we are founded, yes, considering human development as a social, cultural, and affective process, yes, intertwined most of the time and many times and usually and always by means of language, yes? So language is essential, central in this process of human development. As well as that, we take into account that play is a way of, as a foment, a means of imagination, symbolic transformation, particularly taking into consideration the collective aspect of playing. When we play together, we can imagine, we can build up situations in which, in the imaginary world, we can collectively produce. And then when we come back to reality, theoretically, we've got more tools, we got more principles, so as to act and change this reality. In this case, we're talking about water scarcity, as Vivi has already said, water pollution, floods, and so on and so forth. And more specifically, the ZPD, which is called the Zone of Proximal Development, based on Vygotsky's principles, yes, as a space of becoming and creative potential to change, always take into account the collective aspect of being together in this world.
Yeah.
Anything to add, ladies?
Yeah, just to add on, the reason I find myself drawn to Vygotsky is that he was one of the first who brought community and culture into development. So he saw that people were not just developing by themselves as an individual, but that they're developing as a collective. And what's important about that is that they're also the individuals also enacting onto the community. So as the individual is developing, also the community is developing as a whole. And if we think about this in terms of history, he's thinking about this during the Russian Revolution. And so there's this level of like turmoil that's happening when he's considering. So the community, how he was also thinking about how he can help children who were in like very precarious situations, and how they're actually also helping their society create a new world. So I like to in our society right now, we're living again in a very precarious time. And so I find Vygotsky an important person to think about in terms of that.
Awesome. And then we come to this very central concept, the Vygotsky concept, which is called Perizivene, depends. It's a Russian concept, yes. it has to do with what we human beings feel in terms of subjectivity, considering emotional experiences that link somehow, these emotional experiences link to affect and cognition. They are all together. They are mixed up together. They converge. As well as that, how can that possibly create situations in which ecological awareness requires feelings of the world, if you consider what Vivi called at the beginning the eco-pedagogical practice, what we plan here. And by doing how? Methodologically speaking, playing, yes, playful activities, playful schooling activities, which create shared emotional spaces for empathy toward nature in the case of, as Kusha has just said, the precarious situations we are facing in the contemporaneity.
Mhm.
Anything else to add, ladies, to this concept?
Yeah, and we can also relate that with the community, the way we build our community, not in the individuality, like Kusha said. And the Perigivania there is very important because we are not just cooperating with each other, but we can share emotions and creating the emotions together, and create our traumas or our suffering in the community in order to create new ways of living, not alone, but together. So what I like most in the theory is how we can be vulnerable, vulnerable as sensitive, like together. We don't need to be closed in ourselves and think we need to solve all the problems alone, but we can conscious with the conscious in the community work together to solve something, to mitigate some suffering, or to manifestation our indignation in front of the inequalities.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
In other words, we
What?
share our vulnerability.
Yeah.
Sorry,
What?
Kusha.
Maybe what you made me think of how, capitalism, racism, ableism, they really separate us and also make it so we feel like we can't, we have to work, right? We have to constantly be going. We have to be in our head. And what I like about what you said and about this concept is that it kind of undermines all of those drives, that it's about reaching out to the other person. It's about your body, your feelings, rather than always your head. And, it's about like not individual ascension, but like everybody together rising.
Yeah.
And then we come to what we call, yes, this methodological part, considering bringing about the importance of fostering situations in which play, yes, gets a special place in our eco-pedagogical practice, as Vivi said, in terms considering the problem of the environment we are facing nowadays. So how do we understand play as a creative rehearsal for future realities? Because when we play, yes, we imagine situations, we build up resources, yes, funds of knowledge, and then collectively, because we share ideas, we share vulnerabilities, we share emotions, we share and we create, facing these problems, the challenges usually play faces with. And then when we come to reality, theoretically, you've got these tools so as to face. So that's what we call and understand as a kind of rehearsal for the future. And consequently, the idea of reactivate curiosity and agency, that's what we call agency, what Vivi has just said. When we share vulnerability, we count on you, the other, to help us, because everybody has got problems, everybody has faced difficulties, but everybody has got potentialities. So this is what why playing is has got a paramount importance, so as to consider these ages among us, and of course, and consequently, when we come to schooling, yes, particularly teacher education. Anything else about these 2 points, ladies?
I would say, just to emphasize the reactivates part, because I'm a teacher educator, and I think a lot of times by the time you get to college, you've been like told that you're supposed to, think inside the box, right? You've been like kind of molded in a certain way. And what I love about play is that it opens up new possibilities for you to interact differently with people. And also, it if we're doing it with future teachers, then they're able to do that in their own classrooms. But if they don't have the experience of doing it, in college, in a workshop, then they don't know what it really feels like to play and why it's so important. Oh,
You're mute.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, my microphone was off. So consider what you have just said. That comes to my mind the thing we have just written about engaged play, because it goes far from the recreational thing about what play offers, but rather in a way of being equipped with tools, yes, linguistic tool, language tools, emotional tools, critical tools, so as to face the problems humanity faces nowadays. So in a shell, this is what we have just written, yes, Vivi, about engaged play.
Yeah. And I think sometimes adults think they can't play because we need to resignify what is play, what kind of play we are talking about. It's not just play like we were used in the childhood, but play with the intention, with the engagement, play with serious and difficult things, and then create something new in the play which we can use when we live in the reality, So sometimes play in the education, as I'm a teacher in the 6th grade, sometimes it is difficult even for the kids when I bring play to the classroom. Sometimes I need to say to them, you know how to play, you are a kid. And then one children said to me, yeah, but why you need to play in the classroom and with Portuguese? I don't know how to do that. And then I realized that even the children need to know, to learn how to play with scientific knowledges. So it's
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And
They
I
might
wanted
feel childish. Yes, I'm
yeah.
dull. Yes.
I wanted to also add that, like, sometimes play, it kind of builds on what you were saying with, like, sometimes play feels really like uncomfortable, it's not always first of all, it's not so easy because we don't have a lot of practice a lot of times playing. And then second of all, sometimes when you're playing, you are tapping into like something uncomfortable, right? You are being vulnerable. And so there's a difference between like fun, I guess, and play, because play isn't always fun. But I do think that you are always learning when you are
Mhm.
and play, even if it's not fun.
Yeah, it's not fun because in our project together, in the Brincadas project with Francisco here, so we use play to fun, but we use play to create the drama. So the dramatic event, as we call that, because sometimes we are so alienated about some situation.
Yeah.
And then when we leave that in the play, you can start thinking, what that is happening in the world? Then people start asking things about themselves, about the society, because they lived some situation in the theater of oppressed or in some kind of role play, and then it starts to, oh, I need to do something about that. We want to create the drama in order to create, to people develop their indignation. So
Yeah. Or like, yeah, to open their eyes, open our eyes, right?
Okay.
Because it's like, we go around with like blinkers on a lot of times, and play helps you think to like take them off and look around, which sometimes is painful, like you said. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And why do we call play from this perspective a political dimension? Yeah, we've got here three important things. I think we could talk a little bit more as it comes to talking about Freire and Vygotsky, more than, as you have just said, fun, but as a praxis, because the idea of joining as a reflection and action based on the tools when we were playing, build up in this imaginary world. As well as that, because it possibly promotes dialogue, connections involved, creativity, and then we've got somehow what we call transformative tools, and what we call eco play, yes, in a way of going against this hegemonic language of profit, of, as Kusha has also said, in terms of what we live separately because of, particularly in our individualism, capitalism, the way capitalism make us sometimes feels isolated in our own world, forgetting how we can be more potential, considering how collectiveness is important when addressing these issues, such as water problems. Anything else, ladies? And here our proposal is we have these three dimensions: fact, art, and water. Yes. What do we propose with that? With our language, the language of arts, yes, we can use, for instance, water textures and soundscapes, so as an environment to propose playful activities. And somehow we would integrate science, language, and emotion, yes, in a, as I said, in a playful scenario, so as to possibly face and come up with ideas, so as to solve, talk about, reflect upon problems we would pose in our immersion moment, for instance, considering Freire's concept of changes. What else, ladies?
If you do the next one, I'll show an example, I think, of this.
Yes, Kusha has got an example.
So this was an image one of someone in a workshop came up with. I was working with Black women teachers, and we were writing science fiction stories based on our experiences. This science fiction story was about a world where there's no more bees, so it's an ecological possibility, but also, it's a dystopian future. And in order to still have this society, the children are the ones doing the pollinating. So the kids are really important to the world, but they're also basically, you know, they're just workers. They're basically slaves. And it's in this story, it's the role of the teacher to keep the children doing their job. And so, you know, I won't go into the whole story. It's a good story. But
Might be interesting, yes?
Yeah, what ends up happening is
Sounds
that
interesting.
there's a they find like a hive, and then the teacher ends up like smushing the hive. And so I bring this up because something like science fiction writing, it's a type of play. You're thinking. So when you're writing a story like this, you have to think back to like, what are my real experiences that I have had as a teacher that have like that I can draw upon. So like the idea of like, oh, I need to always be testing my students. I need to always you know, I have to be the disciplinarian. I can't stray away from like what's expected of me. That all ended up like in this story. In addition to being more aware of what was going around in the society, they developed an ecological awareness. They had to look into what do bees actually do? What would happen if like bees weren't around? What type of, in order to create this kind of this possibility. And so through this exploration and talking about the story with other Black women teachers, we all developed a deeper understanding of the racial structures that impacted the experiences that the teachers were having. So I offer this idea of science fiction writing, collective writing, creative writing in general, in order to have a better understanding of ecology, and also thinking about what are some ways that we can come together to discuss what's happening.
Mhm.
Yeah, but my sound very interesting. Have you, by the chance, but have you collected data?
Yes. Yeah. We looked. I mean, you know, you already know. I'm already writing this paper up.
Because it might become very interesting. Well, resources to write an article. Yes, you've got, might be very interesting. Yes.
One of
We
the
can
things
use somehow, Vivi. As we are talking about now what we call escrevivência, yes, from Conceição Alvarista, we can somehow inspired by doing something related to that. Particularly, Vivi, because next week we are going to be focused on specific knowledge, science, yes, math. So it might be interesting. So for you to talk to us in March, Kusha.
Definitely. Yeah, this is something.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Great.
Really.
I guess, Vivi, now you still have another example. This is Vivi examples, or
This
still
is
yours?
another one of my examples. So one of the things that we found from the science fiction story. So these are 3 of my students in my teacher education course. And so what we do is they worked together to design their own school. And it's a science and math methods class. So like teaching how to, one of the things I was working on is can you integrate play into teaching math and science. So one of the things that they did is they created this like perfect school together, and then also learned the geometry process, because they found the area. They looked into, they had to like problem solve. Well, what if this many kids come or this many kids leave? So they had to like change things based on the parameters shifting. And then they made a proposal, and then we shared it, and they have like trees and all these other things. So they're also like overcoming separability from one another because they're working together. They had like never met each other before, and they came together to work on this project.
Nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
And now I think Vivi has got an example with play. Yes, also.
Oh, sorry. I had one more thing. The other thing was that they were also connecting, in addition to connecting with one another, my students also connect with nature. So one of the things that we did also is they created dances to show the different phases of water. So like they were like, they made one dance of like, oh, this is how I would be if I were like rain coming down, and then like going on doing all the phases of water throughout. And then, they said that was one of the best things that they had done, because they could feel the science in their body, as opposed to just like drawing it out, or even like just talking about it and learning it. And then they said that they felt like they were closer with nature. So we went outside to this area and they did their dances, and it was really a beautiful, fun time.
Nice.
Yeah. And now Vivi's turn.
Yeah, well, that's nice, Kusha. So my example is about playing with difficult situation and with water situations. So in July, I participated in an event at St. Mary University in New Jersey, and I did a workshop there. The workshop called Interdisciplinary Play for Creative and Collaborative Education. And we have in this event therapists, arts teachers, professors, physicians, professors. So, but I was there as an educator, trying to work with play in a difficult situation. The workshop has this central question called, how can we play with a serious situation in order to transform that? Then I divided the participants into 2 groups, and they received the real scenarios. And one group with some situation here in Brazil, in the Amazon, and the other group with floods in Texas. So they were asked to create a living photography that not only represented the situation, but also pointed to resistance, action, or transformation. This group here work with this situation. The flooded waters rose so fast that entire families were swept away in minutes. So the background info: in July 2025, deadly floods struck Carroll County in Texas. It's a real story. It is in the news in that time. So the group working with this situation lived a very emotional moment. One participant recalled her own traumatic experience with flooding, when she felt guilt for not being able to help people she knew. So she asked the group, how can I overcome this through play? They had to create this performance. This is the group here in this photo. So the group then created this performance where the woman, stood in the center. Other participants performed the water, some trying to carry her away, while others held her and helped her float. Little by little, members from the other group also joined the scene, adding new flows of water. So It may sound simple, but in the moment, it was deeply impactful. They become a way not only to represent climate disaster, but also to reframe trauma, to create new meanings together, and to connect emotionally with the challenge of climate change. So play is not just about the present moment, it is a creative rehearsal for future realities. So it helps us reactivate curiosity and agents, even in adult and teacher education, like this example, where we sometimes forget how to imagine it differently. And you can see this woman told me after she could overcome her trauma in that, and she wasn't expected that would happen in this workshop. And even me, I wouldn't expect nothing like this, but when that happened, I was, oh my goodness. So because that happened, and for she and for the others, it was so real, because they felt so connected in this time. Think about like the water, they were the water, and the potential, the power of water to recreate this situation. And for her, it was like, oh, now I feel I could overcome that and see other possibilities, see I'm not alone, and what happened wasn't my fault. So I need more the communities. And that was because of the play, because she played, she could notice that.
That's such a beautiful example, Vivi, and it made me, you said something like play helps you imagine possibilities, so it helps you think about the future, but it also is kind of like a ghost, right? It also helps you deal with the past. So it's like you like time travel with play, right? It's like brings the back and the forward to the present. So that's very, I'm going to write that down. Yeah.
I like that.
A new concept, okay, has just started,
Yeah.
coined a new concept.
Coined play as time travel.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Place beyond
Awesome.
the time.
Beyond time, yeah.
It's interesting to think about how she got strengthness from the collectiveness. Yes, the people who were around her and felt like that. We are exactly somehow the same. Yes, we've got our potentialities, as we have already mentioned here, but we have also our vulnerabilities, and it's going to be like that throughout the end. Yes, life is like that, going through potentialities and vulnerabilities. How can you possibly go through them? By means of collectiveness, strengthness as well. Yes, and in our proposal, playful activities. Yes.
Yes.
So we are reaching the end of our talk, guys. So here we have a proposal that goes beyond classroom, yes, and considering play as a way of being with the planet, not as a way of only having fun. And of course, encouraging transdisciplinarity and intercultural collaborations, because everybody has got different perspective, worldview in terms of eco problems, not only, but our focus is like that tonight, yes. And what we call, the title says, oceanal possibilities, this metaphor as an in connection, because we've got, as long as we have lots of people working together in a playful activity, for instance, in considering a classroom, how that's we have loads of ways of seeing a problem, facing a problem, and coming up with different perspectives and different ways of solving, dealing with these problems. Yes. Anything else to add our talk, ladies? Because we are reaching the end already.
Yeah, maybe.
No?
Yeah. I was thinking about the good living created by Ayrton Krenak, because sometimes we can think, oh, what we can do to the world, of the world, but the idea of good living, uh, it is related for me with the play, because I can play with several situations together with people to have a good life in the world, or not in the world, but in my background where I'm living, with my students, with my research groups. So we always want to change the world, but sometimes the world don't want to be changed. So it's like I would be,
Stillborn world, yes.
I can be quiet, so I need to create new ways to keep it going and keep it going, and then
Yeah,
we can, by the practice, by the process, we can find ways to create new realities where it's possible
yes.
live. You know?
New ways of being, yes, with this existing thinking, yes. And I guess playing is a way of getting these ideas, these tools, these structures, so as to come up with these possible new ways of being, existing, thinking. Yes,
Yeah.
awesome.
So in America right now, I'm sure you've heard things are a little wonky. um, I read somewhere, and this is gonna come back. I read somewhere that nonviolent protests and acts are more successful than violent ones, and that once you have 3.5% of the population in a movement, that those have always created real change. They've always been
Mm,
successful once you reach 3.5%, which is a really small amount of people.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, and so I found that very exciting. Our last No Kings protest
Yes. Last
had
weekend.
had 11. No, it had 7 or 8 million people, and 3.5% of our population is about 11 to 12 million people.
Mm,
So if everybody, just brought one friend who decided to stay at home, then we'd be at that level already. And what that has to do with play for me is it's like that's how we're going to bring people in. It's going to be through making the revolution irresistible, right? It's going to be through community and coming together, and what seems like small acts, but really if you just reach out to one person and bring them on board, then we'll get to that 3.5% really easily.
yeah, yeah. Interesting to know that. Yes, this is statistic.
Yeah.
I'll think about it next time. Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
think the next time you don't want to go to the protest.
3.5. Yes. 75.
3.5.
3.75. Okay. Awesome. So, guys, to finish this off, yes, to wrap up, we have a final message considering play for us. Yes. Transformation that begins with imagination, our imaginary world when play fosters. Yes. And we call what we call, considering the problem, the main theme of CICTED this year is this ecological play that possibly can humanize education and consequently humanize us, what we need nowadays, to be humanized again, to my eye, yes. What about you, ladies? How would you finish this talk? Can you hear me? Were you pretending you were frozen like this? This is an old trick.
Just
Yes.
because I thought I finished it before.
Yeah, I thought I wrapped it up. 3.5.
Yeah. Well,
So, how would you add anything to this? Two important messages.
mhm.
Just thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So, guys, I think we should open up to questions. Yes, let's see if we have some questions. We have some comments. Yes, Paulo Lindgren said that building bridges with emotions. Yes. And we have here also saying, yes, greetings from Thais and Rafael. Thank you very much for attending our session. Now we'd like to know if there is any other question for us to reflect upon it. Let's see if they come up with anything. Danilo, is there any other question? Are you here? Danilo, tem alguma pergunta?
I know that one. Vivi, I have a question for you.
Silence.
How is it? What would you say is the difference between, what is the challenge of working with kids, playing with kids, as opposed to playing with adults? Like, what are the two challenges of the two?
Mhm. Well, the challenge for me is create the space to both of them, children and adults, want to play, like if they have the intention to be there to play. Because sometimes people in the classroom, for example, the kids just want me to teach it, be there in front of them, talk. But I needed to create the environment to then to notice that the teaching, learning would be created with them, not just by me, but with them. So we start play with when they don't want to play, but then when they see the other playing, the other having fun, they start, oh, I can play with that too. So they start to play. It's the same with the adults. In Brincadas projects, for example, when people come in the first time and we start with a playing session, there are some teenagers and adults who look at that and say, oh, I will not do that. But we create.
They are reluctant. Yes.
Yeah, and then we are not saying to them, you need to play, you have to play, you should, you go there. No, they stay there and see, and then we need them to play because the play is collective. So they always need to get involved, and then they start, oh, they need me to do that. So
yeah,
show that we need them to play, we need them to then create new things. So that's the challenge for me.
I guess it has to do with one of your articles. I have just seen, Kusha. It's okay to be incomplete, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really want to read
No,
it
but that's
fully.
that is the same thing. Yeah, it's like you are incomplete on your own, and you call them in. Yeah, it's okay to be incomplete.
Yeah. And I feel how important I am when I've got a gathering, togetherness, and see how important I am to reach a certain aspect, target, whatever. But and it's okay not to be like that at the beginning, for obvious reasons. And then, as we have those ones who have been doing this for ages, they feel like very comfortable, at easy to play. Let's do it. It's amazing to see how that works at the beginning. Yes. Ladies, thank you very much. There is no questions. People are just thanking us as well. Was a great opportunity to be with you.
Yes.
Thank you for accepting my invitation to be here again,
Let's do that
lecturing
more
at
times.
It's going to be like a traditional talk
We're gonna
with
do it
free
every
at every
year.
single CICTED. Yes. Thank you very much. Bye,
Yes.
guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
See you.
Bye
See you.
bye.
Bye bye.